Monday night, you're watching Midnight Movie Talk with me, Eric Weber, as we get into the big news of the day. And you guys know what it is. It's Doctor Strange debuting with $185 million, which is very strong, obviously. This is not No Way Home money, but this is still very good MCU cash. Better than Eternals, much less than No Way Home. I think what we need to talk about here is what happened over the weekend, because we had a really strong Thursday, Friday number, and then it dipped. Now, it is Mother's Day today. So as such, you expect the numbers to be lower. Mom isn't going to go see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So mom is kind of out along with the rest of the family because today's the day to be with mom. So you don't go to the movie theater. That's why the number was lower on Sunday. It's the Saturday number that concerns me. Let's talk about the details and go under the hood a little bit. The worldwide total on this is 450 million, which is a very strong number. And again, speaks to the importance of worldwide box office, global, overseas numbers, bigger than domestic. Wasn't the case 10 years ago. Obviously, times have changed. Now, that's done without China and without Russia. So we know why for both. China locked down Russia because of what's happening with Ukraine. They're not going there. Let's pull up the actual email from Disney today with the under the hood details. This is the stuff I love to share with you, and we can talk about what exactly we are seeing as we look through the weekend highlights here of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Global, all in, number one in all markets, 450 million. The second highest global weekend posted by any film during the pandemic era. Although I have told you, and I will say again, pandemic's over. As far as the numbers we're seeing, we don't need to put that in there anymore with the asterisk. Hey, it's the pandemic era. It's done. And for all intents and purposes, we are moving on, but they're still putting it in there as one of the bullet points because it makes it look a little bit better. Let's scroll down and look here. Domestically open, number one, second highest domestic opening weekend of the pandemic era. I'm going to skip that. I do not want to read that anymore. I told you it's done. Highest domestic opening weekend of 2022. So if you look at this is crazy. MCU titles now account for 5 of the top 7 pandemic-era domestic opening weekends. Spider-Man, No Way Home, number 1. Doctor Strange, number 2. Black Widow, 5. Shang-Chi, 6. Eternals, 7. Batman obviously is in there as well, but that's not MCU. 185 million, the 11th highest opening in industry history between Incredibles 2, 182, and Avengers Age of Ultron at 191. So this did virtually the same number as Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, remember this, that it's quite a bit more expensive to go to movies nowadays than it was back when Ultron came out. Also, you have a total resurgence of IMAX, of 3D, of these premium large formats, PLF as they call them. And we'll get into that. That number was, I believe, it's like 36% of all the box office came from those gigantic screens. So here it is right here. 36% overall of all the numbers came from IMAX, PLF, 3D, and motion auditoriums. I've never been to a movie that the seats move. Some of you tell me how that is. I've never been to one. 3D, 9% is encouraging for the format, Disney says, playing close to the total opening weekend of some 2018, 2019 releases. That's interesting. 3D is something that you guys know came back in force in about 2011, 2012, really about 10, 11, 12, 13. We had a whole bunch of films that opened with the 3D component. In fact, they were shot in 3D. Dread, one of the best. Obviously, Great Gatsby, Prometheus. Those 3 films come right to mind as films that were shot in 3D and really looked so spectacular in 3D. That is taking excellent use of that format. And maybe we're going back there. I don't think this is clearly one of those things. I didn't see it in 3D, but it wasn't shot in 3D. I think Doctor Strange is not a 3D film. But maybe studios will think about wading into that a little bit more like they did with Prometheus and Dread. Like I said, Great Gatsby, there's more. There's I think My Bloody Valentine, the horror film, leaned into it. Bunch of 3D films back in the early 2010, 11, 12. So it speaks again to the importance of those big screens. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you saw it on one of the ones I just mentioned, whether it was IMAX 3D or possibly Dolby Cinema, which I always say out here in LA, the best cinema in all of LA is down the street at AMC Burbank 16. The Dolby Cinema rocks. It kicks total ass, giant screen. It's got everything, recliners. It's the best single screen in this city. And we have a ton of great movie theaters in Los Angeles. Let's also talk about this. Let me pull back up the email and get it, because I think there's another thing that's really curious for me is how did this play to audiences as far as demographics? Break it down. Who went to see this film? Look at here. You have male 62%, female 38%, general audience 88%, and then parents 8%, kids 4%. And if you look, remember we talked about the Batman versus Doctor Strange 2. The Batman, not a family film at all. And this is going to dovetail nicely into where we're headed next. This is MCU. This is much more of a family film than the Batman, because MCU brand is obviously known to be a 4-quad, all-inclusive situation. That said, our next topic here is one that was trending today. Doctor Strange. Should it be R or, as it is, PG-13? When I started digging into this, now I was away from my devices today. It was nice. Sunday's kind of the unplugged day. Pay attention in the morning and then disconnect until I talk to you guys at midnight. And I didn't even know this was trending. And then I said, really? We're going to go here? I mean, you have to understand the context of the rating is it's a comic book film, okay? This is not a horror film. This is not a PG-13 Halloween, although we've had PG-13 horror films. So in this case, yes, the violence when Scarlet Witch attacks the Illuminati is, for comic book, it's intense, but at no time when I watched the film last Monday did I think to myself, this is PG-13? This isn't R? And I will go there. When I watch a film, I go, wait a second, this really is closer to R. The Batman, because of its grounded feel that Matt Reeves put on that film, that is much more of a closer to R film than Doctor Strange 2, even though I understand the violence. But the violence in the Batman is real. It's more tangible than this is. So that doesn't even make sense to me. The fact this was trending and people are like, come on. I think the best article that I read, and I went around and looked at a lot of things here, is I looked here at THR. Ryan Parker really did a really bang-up job on this, and let me show you what he had to say. And I think it's really all that needs to be said. There's really nothing more to add when he says exactly what I just told you. We roll down here. It was trending today, blah, 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 blah. And we get down to, so did Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness slip one by the ratings board, the MPA? Should they have rated it R? No. Thank you, Ryan. Likely, the violence and horror elements were seen through the lens of being conducted by superheroes and supervillains. I love how that is said. Through the lens of being conducted by superheroes and supervillains. In other words, if it were a serial killer, like in the Batman, you would have an issue where, hold on, maybe this should be R. But because it's superheroes, and yes, I know Sam Raimi's directing and he does horror films, it's through the lens of superheroes. It's different. And, it's how parents taking their younger children to see the film would likely interpret the images in action, thereby making PG-13 the appropriate choice. I agree 100%. That's all that needs to be said. This paragraph right here is everything. That's it. If you want to look at it, go to Hollywood Reporter. It's their top story. I can't even believe, honestly, I sometimes can go here with these stories and these trends, but when I saw that PG-13 was trending, for what? Really? So that's perfect. All needs to be said about this. And I think at the end of the day, they got it right. It's a PG-13 movie. Is it intense for little kids? Absolutely. Should not be in that situation. But as it is, it's fine. PG-13. There's been way worse PG-13 movies. Now, let's talk about a troubling issue here with Doctor Strange. When you look at the number that we had on Thursday/Friday, the problem is you saw this film drop hard on Saturday, down almost 40%. Today, down another 35%. That is like boom, 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 dropping. And that tells me that people ran out to see it, and then they didn't go back to see it again, which we saw with No Way Home, or they heard the word of mouth, which is not as great as some would have you believe. This is a B+ cinema score. Came out on Friday. B+ cinema score is not good. I don't want to have this discussion anymore. I sent the tweet out. B plus isn't bad. It is for cinema scores. Just know that. Don't say that ever again, please. It shows your ignorance. B plus cinema score is not great in the grand scheme of cinema scores. They're weighted extremely heavy on the top end. Therefore, every minus you drop. So A to A minus is a massive drop. A minus to B plus, big drop. It's not like back in school where you're this close to getting the next grade. It's a big drop down. Therefore, this film tells me that word of mouth is not as strong as obviously Marvel wants, Disney wants. And I think that's going to be problematic going forward. The good news is this. As I look ahead to the upcoming films, I mean, I'll pull that up. I mean, it's really just a wasteland when you look at these films that are coming. The next big film is Top Gun Maverick. But until we get there, you're looking at a bunch of garbage. I mean, here, let me scroll back. So as we look, we just had this weekend, obviously, Strange 2. We go up to next weekend. The only big film dropping next weekend is Firestarter. And that looks truly horrendous, doesn't it? By the way, Universal only sending screeners out to press, critics, after it debuts in theaters. So that's really awful. That's as bad as it gets when they're not going to show it to you until it actually is in a theater to watch. That means they know this is not a good film. And I've heard for a long time that Firestarter is bad. So forget that. Go to the 20th. You got Men, A24, not a competitor to Strange 2. And then go down to Downton Abbey. I think we all know that Downton Abbey crowd and Doctor Strange 2, not the same. So therefore, we don't have to worry about that. Finally, on the 27th, you have Bob's Burgers, which is going to be small, obviously, it's for the hardcore fans. And then Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick will outperform. I don't know what the number is right now, but I think we're getting close to 100 on this. Why not? I mean, this is resurgence of everyone in Generation X, me, and they got the young kids in there. So the younger kids, so they can get this story and move it to the next level if they want to do another one. All right, let's get to comment time as we discuss what is going on in the world. Aaliyah, good to see you here on this Sunday night. Word of mouth definitely affected opening weekend, lower than estimated, yet still top 20, to be fair. Not sure second weekend's a fair estimate of a high debut. No Way Home fell 67%, yet week 3 will tell us more. Don't forget, No Way Home was during Christmas, and that Sunday, Sunday was Christmas Eve, right? The second weekend. Or Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, whichever one it was a major day that is going to have fewer people going to movie theaters, just like today was Mother's Day. But Christmas Eve is even more of a, no one's going to movies. They're going to church. They're at home with their families. They're not going to the movie theater. That's why that number was lower. That said, I think that we're still in trouble because this is a film that is not getting the word of mouth out there that No Way Home had. I mean, No Way Home had an A+ cinema score, which means everyone loved it. Okay, that's as good as it gets. This has a B+, a full grade, which is way more than a grade, as I just said. Way more than a grade. So cinema score really goes down, and then we have an issue where this film is already falling apart from Friday to Saturday. Not falling apart like, oh my God, but it's lower than Batman's drop from Friday to Saturday and Saturday to Sunday. So the Batman was able to hold. If you compare it to Black Widow, it's similar, but Black Widow was also at home. So that's not a fair comparison. If you look at even at Eternals held a little better from Friday to Saturday and Saturday to Sunday. But again, Eternals wasn't on Mother's Day. So it's a little bit different, but I'm just telling you guys, word of mouth is not great. Not great on this film. And as such, it is going to be problematic for Disney going forward to keep this number up because a good debut of 450 million globally, it's amazing. It's fantastic. Celebrate. But look to the next step. Can it get to 1 billion? With the word of mouth I'm seeing, I don't know. I just don't know. We're going to find out next weekend, but I think it's got a big drop coming in, 65% or more. Aaliyah, again, I'm a gore wimp and no, this is not rated R. Agreed. Kind of glad to see the discussion about violence, though, because people seem more okay with violence versus sex, nudity. No question about that. The MPA will always rate a film R as soon as there's any kind of sex, like any kind of just remotely titillating, as it were, sex, you're going R. It is hard. We're out. We're going out. And because of that, you can get away with a lot PG-13 violence wise, and especially if it is comic book heroes. So again, not an issue with this. It's fine. PG-13, given the film, given who's involved in the film, superheroes, through the lens of the superheroes killing people. And don't forget, even, if we're going to go a little spoiler here, I'll try to withdraw. Even someone getting sawed in two with a shield doesn't show. They don't show. You see the face, but you don't see it. So it's in your mind. So just think about that too. Even though I understand, I'm just telling you it's a comic book movie. That's why it was rated PG-13 and not R. In the UK, Batman is rated 15. Doctor Strange is rated 12A. That is fair. Batman to me is closer to R than Doctor Strange 2. I hope someone out there has actually said the opposite, because that is the dumbest take. You're kidding me. The Batman is way closer to R than Doctor Strange 2. No question about it. In fact, I said if Warner Brothers wanted to, they could just literally just add one tiny little bit and flip that to R. That's how close the Batman is to R because of what the Riddler is. And the tangible serial killer aspect that does not feel comic booky. And that's why I love the Batman, because it feels grounded. It feels like, obviously Silence of the Lambs. I mean, it feels like Seven. And those are R-rated films. So we're really close. So that's good. That makes sense to me. Inishiraj, if I'm not saying that right, please tell me. Again, thank you for watching tonight. I appreciate it. Back to Aaliyah. Mother's Day box office may have been better if Wanda's fate was not a parent sacrifice. Just saying, if Disney Marvel thought this would be a great Mother's Day movie. Yeah, it's a great point too. This is all about Scarlet Witch wanting to be a mom and not being able to be a mom. So it kind of is not the best Mother's Day present to take mom to the movie theater and watch this saga unfold of her begging desperately for her imaginary kids. That's not a good Mother's Day movie, is it? It's a bad one. Eric, superhero movies are the best movies. Good evening to you, sir. I think it's sir. Eric, me and my friends had a blast with Doctor Strange 2. Captain Carter got a absolutely huge crowd pop. Yes, I love the horror elements. So good. You're not alone. I mean, there's people out there that like the film. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm telling you is that the average, when you look at the aggregate, all the people who've seen the film, the average word of mouth is lower, much lower than No Way Home, and even lower than Batman, and lower, not lower than Eternals, because Eternals was a B. But just again, based on that cinema score, B+, not great. I dare someone to put in here on the comments, but a B+ is good. Make sure if you do that you put it with the alternate, uppercase, lowercase, so you look like a serial killer, and that shows me you don't know what you're talking about. That is how you're going to do that. But a B+ is good, Eric. What are you talking about, man? Patrick and Amanda, good evening to you guys. Thanks for joining the stream. Eric, after the past few Marvel films, are you more excited for MCU films or DC films? DC. Great question. Patrick, here's where I'm at, is I love where Warner Brothers' head is in allowing filmmakers to make really challenging films. I think that there was a chance here for Marvel to really let Sam Raimi open up and go completely full-on Raimi. And we didn't. We got a little bit restrained. You see parts of these films, part of the film that really doesn't even look like a Raimi film, and then you see parts that do, and so it almost makes me feel like there was someone else directing it at times. I don't know. Watch it again. You'll see. You'll see the parts that look like reshoots and the parts that look like real, authentic Raimi. And I think that's the issue for me. Warner Brothers says, go ahead and make your movie. They told Matt Reeves, do it. Like, the only thing that Reeves had to do for the Batman was add Joker. I feel like that was a call from the studio saying, you need to put him in, because I don't think that works. It should have been an end credits scene, redesigned, reconfigured, and get that into the end credits. And I don't know if that was Reeves's decision or it was Warner Brothers to even have that scene and where it was, or he didn't want to put it in the end credits. I feel like end credits with superhero movies, just do it. Just go for it. I mean, I remember back to Logan. Remember Logan? And it was so like, oh, wait, Deadpool is in a credit scene, or they shot something for it, but then it was not part of it. And it was just like, why don't we just say that it's okay to have that in? I think every comic book movie should have no problem with an end credit scene. People want them. Give them what they want. But if you need to make them dark, then make them dark to fit the film. It doesn't have to go from like this super dark, the Batman, and then all of a sudden flip it to an end credit scenes that's comical, like the end of Doctor Strange 2 with Campbell. It doesn't have to be that, but it could be a really cool, dark end credit scenes. I feel like that's part of comic book movies. That's what people want. Give them what they want. Just make it work within the film. Make it feel organic so it doesn't feel like it's tacked on. So yes, DCEU for me over MCU right now. It's all on Love and Thunder. Thor Love and Thunder has so much pressure on it because this film, it just is not going to deliver, even though 450. Listen, I understand 450 million is a really good number, but I'm just telling you from a creative standpoint, MCU after Eternals and now after this, and I know some of you love the film, but I'm just saying a lot of people I talk to don't like the film. And I didn't feel that way about No Way Home. And that's a Sony Marvel movie, right? That's not a Disney Marvel movie. But if you look at Thor Love and Thunder, this is a film that really needs to pick it up and really deliver on everything to get this ship fully righted. I feel like we got sort of a mid-level, right? A mid-level film here. And we need to go up from that. So I hope that Taika has done it. I love the Guardians in this. I think that has so much pressure riding on it to really bring the MCU and shoot it straight up. That said, the film just made $450 million global, so it's not like MCU is hurting. Oh yeah, they're dragging ass right now at 450 million globally, but I'm saying creatively we need to see Thor Love and Thunder pop because Warner Brothers and DCU, I like where they're going. They just are allowing their filmmakers to make cool things. Superhero movies again, Eric, people thought crazy things. I think a lot of people heard the cameos they were expecting were not there, and they weren't, as you guys know, except for the Illuminati. It's pretty much gone. Deadpool, Juggernaut, Storm, Tom Cruise's Iron Man, all that stuff that people were saying, all those people, these scoopers, right? The scoopers are like, oh, it's in there, and then it wasn't. They're like, oh, they removed it. It's like so easy to be a scooper and just make things up. I'm not saying everybody does it, but how easy is that? I will never go on, and you guys know I've had some scoops. I don't like specialize. I don't go out of my way like let's dig. But if I get a good source and tells me something, it's going to go out there. But it's probably going to happen. I don't think I've had anything that I've said was going to happen and then it didn't, like full on, because it's so easy to say, oh, they cut it. Imagine that. Oh yeah, Tom Cruise was in the movie and they cut it last second. I could just say that. Anyone could say that, unless you had someone from the studio come out and say no, but they're not going to. So you're safe in throwing that out there and saying anything could be in there. Cell phone, good evening to you. The Batman is more R than Blade Runner 2049. That movie should have got a PG-13. I agree with that. And with Doctor Strange, the moment it got a B+ cinema score for a Marvel film, worried for second week. You liked it a lot. Good. Okay, there's a few. There's a lot of you. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you, I was mid on this. It's a mid film to me. Blade Runner 2049, it's a great example of what we just talked about. That is not a superhero movie. Therefore, the elements of, it's not horror, but the intense elements that are in Blade Runner 2049 are going to be viewed through the lens differently through a kid, right, than watching Doctor Strange or in this case, as we know, Wanda do her thing on the Illuminati. It's just not the same. You guys know what I'm saying. Even though it could be the exact same kill, it's the film it's in, the character that does it, and the genre of the film overall. I think that's the key here, is that it's not a horror film. As much as people want to say Doctor Strange 2, it's not a horror film. Stop saying that Doctor Strange 2 is a horror film. It's not. Not a horror film. I didn't think for 1 second this was a horror film. When I read that, I'm like, what are we talking about? Oh, God, someone did it. It would be you, Joshua. But a B+ is good, man. What are you talking about? B+ is good at school. It's my like southern redneck voice. Yeah, I know you're kidding. I know you got the /S going there. It is absolutely not great. Okay, just know that, guys. That's one thing to take away. B+ cinema score, not good. I can't say that enough. It literally should be I'm gonna retitle this entire thing. Forget Midnight Movie Talk. B+ cinema score sucks. B+ cinema score sucks. That's what the show's called. All right, everyone in my theater is really hyped to see Thor Love and Thunder trailer. Thomas, I'm reading your thing here. Thanks for joining tonight. Very interested to see how that movie will perform opening weekend. It should be very strong because you have the Guardians, you have Thor. Okay, here's a question. Who's bigger, Thor or Doctor Strange? If you had to put your money on one film, do people want to watch Thor or do they want to watch Doctor Strange? To me, Doctor Strange is a supporting character. I'm not suggesting Thor isn't. I'm just telling you he's supported, elevated, right? Supporting, elevated. Doctor Strange, supporting. It's just like that. It's like that much more. And then you throw the Guardians in. The Guardians are bigger than Scarlet Witch. Okay, so there you have a bigger character in Thor than Doctor Strange. More more people want to watch Thor, and I think he appeals to a wider audience than Doctor Strange. And then you throw the Guardians on, and that's why this film will do bigger. Will be bigger. I think that's very easy. I think that's fair. Tell me if that's wrong. I really think that is an absolutely fair statement. Let's find out. Let's get some more people here. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Oh God, another B plus is good. Hey, you did it perfectly, Gingy V. You did it with the up, down, yeah, upper, lower. Good job. Yeah, never again. Don't do that again. You'll be banned. I don't know how to ban you, but I will. Aaliyah, again, more than word of mouth. Personal Action 2. Originally planned to see it 3 times this weekend because my reaction is mixed. Yes. Canceled the other 2. Uh-huh. And you have A-List. A-List is the best. That's the goal, is to have A-List sponsored. I don't even care if they sponsor it. I'm going to tell you guys that AMC A-List rocks. I want to be featured on the actual A-List thing that comes on before. It says, Eric, best thing I ever bought. That's the quote. AMC, take it. Best thing I ever purchased. Whatever you want to use. That's the general thought. And then do it. It's so easy to go see films and to cancel films and never be pay. You could last second just go cancel, $0 spent. Well, you're paying zero anyhow, but you don't get that film as a strike against you. You get 3 a week. 3 films a week. I mean, it's crazy. That's 12 films for $24. And you can watch Dolby. You can watch IMAX. Listen, I'm going an ad for AMC. I'm not going to do this anymore for free, AMC. That's it. It's the last time I pimp your service. But that's not true because I love it. I will always pimp things I love. Like tonight, okay, call me a bandwagon guy. That's fine. I don't care. Everton won today, and Everton is now off of relegation. That's why I picked the Everton jersey tonight. So, yes, I'm a bandwagoner, but I've got 30-plus soccer jerseys in there. I can grab whatever one I want tonight. I said, hey, Everton, for not getting sent down, demoted, booted, you get the jersey tonight. Let's go to Joshua. I spent the entire movie trying to explain what is happening and who everyone was to my wife. Casual movie fans are going to get lost as hell with this movie. Yes, Josh, I said that last week. This is the first Marvel film that requires you to watch their show, WandaVision. If you have not watched WandaVision, you are not going to get nearly as much out of this film as someone who did. This is the first MCU film that is required D+ viewing. Literally, you have to go watch something else to watch the film. And that's the problem. That's what No Way Home didn't have going for it. It was self-contained. You didn't have to go watch other things to watch No Way Home. That is problematic for me because I still think that there are a large segment of people who don't watch the D+ shows, the Marvel shows. They don't watch them. And because of that, you're limiting your audience because people are going to go in, like Josh, like you said, you spend time going, this is here and this is what happened in WandaVision and this and that. If you didn't watch WandaVision, you'd be like, what the hell is she doing on the phone? I don't know what's going on here. And that's why I think they should stick to the cinematic universe. And then the television should only be used very sparingly, not the central point of the movie. Literally, the entire plot revolves around WandaVision. That's problematic. I said that when I saw the movie on Monday, and you just said it here, Josh. And these are normal people who are watching the film. They're like, I'm lost. Who are these people? That's never good for any film. You don't want your audience to have to do homework to watch your film. That's not good. I hope that Thor Love and Thunder is not that way. It doesn't look like it. Let's hope it's not directly tied into D+, because if it is, that's a problem. Marvel, I know you want to push your shows, but don't do it in the films. Use it sparingly. Superhero movies are best movies. I didn't see a lot of kids. Maybe the horror elements are not for kids and dissuaded, love it, parents from taking their kids there. Also, Charlize is in the MCU. Oh, we just did the sport. You've seen the movie, guys. Yes. But I didn't think the end credit was that good. It was just like pop, just like Reed Richards, right? Pop. Oh my God, look who that is. I do love Charlize Theron. I've seen Charlize Theron in person at the premiere, well, a couple times, but at the premiere for Bombshell, which I really love. If you've ever watched Bombshell, if you haven't watched it, go watch that film. Really should have been a bigger awards film that year about Fox News and shot by Jay Roach, who did a really good job. He could have gone full Adam McKay on that film, and he restrained himself, and it's a better film for it. And I will say that Charlize Theron, first of all, tall. She has got to be 6'1". She is very striking. Of course, you guys know. Sometimes you see celebrities and they're shorter or whatever. You see Charlize Theron, like, wow, and she's not a small woman. She's tall. She's taller than me, and I'm not 6'7", about 6 foot, but she's very good looking one. How about that? Let's go to Patrick again. If Thor is a mixed bag and gets a B+ cinema score, what's that mean for the MCU going forward? Could change be coming? Well, Feige's not going anywhere. We know that. So it doesn't. Feige's going to stay put. So as such, I don't know what the change would be. I think there's no way Thor gets a B plus. I think Thor has to get to an A minus. The tone of the film looks like a hell of a lot more fun than Doctor Strange 2. And you should know Taika in the element, the world that he works in is so different than Sam Raimi. So you just know that a Taika film is going to have this levity to it that this film did not have. And as such, I don't think there's any way this film gets a B plus. I will put that down on. I'll bet somebody right now. There's no way Thor: Love and Thunder goes lower than A minus. No chance. Zero. If it goes lower, but you have listen, you got to offer something up if it happens. I will. This is up for grabs. The moose from Mitchell's versus the Machines is up for grabs on the desk here. If Thor: Love and Thunder goes under A minus on the cinema score, someone will win this. It's not going to happen, so I'm going to have the moose, but it's right here. It's a good luck moose. Whatever the moose's name was, I don't remember. Someone tell me. It's by the way, it's right here. This is Mitchell's versus the Machines, so I should really kind of like tack that to that. That's good. Just do it like that. All right. It's not going to happen. There's no way it's going to get an A minus or better. Aaliyah again. No Way Home is Sony. Yes, indeed. Disney received percentage. Correct. They have a working agreement, right? And Feige has a production story influence. It's part of the MCU because I believe even Venom now is, right? You can see that Sony signed that deal and got just made their character available so that they can also get some help and assistance from Marvel. It's clear that obviously Feige gets to call all the shots. We know that. But I'd love to know the difference in power structure between Sony Marvel and Marvel. Now, I understand it's going to be different, but I'm just saying I'd really love to know if Sony was like, Feige's like, no, you do this. And Sony's like, excuse me, it's our Spider-Man. We gave you a deal, but at the end of the day, we have the final call, right? You don't have it, which is very weird for Feige. Kevin's probably like, what? What are you talking about? Like, oh yeah, that's right. We don't own you. But obviously now they have Deadpool, so they've got that. All they got left is Spider-Man. Sony's never giving up Spider-Man. Like, that's why you knew that wasn't happening. It's why they made the Spider-Man film. There was the deal where you had to make a Spider-Man film every so many years to keep the rights. So they did. And now that it's the way it is and you got Tom Holland, it's never going anywhere. I love 2049. Great cinematic experience. I love the world, like I always love Villeneuve's world, but I don't love the film because I feel like every scene in 2049 is too long. It's hyperextended. It needs to be tighter. He did a much better job in Dune, like light years better. That Dune, even though similar runtimes, Dune flows better. The scenes don't get bogged down. 2049, if it's tighter and things are cut and we don't sit on scenes as long, it's a great film. As it is, I think it's okay. It's not nearly as good as the first. We got to get one thing straight. Blade Runner 1 is light years better than Blade Runner 2049. I can't even put them in the same unit. You got to remember, I grew up with Blade Runner Blade Runner original, 82. I saw that film and I was a kid and it was just blew me away. I mean, it's really one of the reasons I'm here tonight is because of Blade Runner. So for me to even, that's why I was really disappointed with 2049. Although I understand everything you're saying, I just wish that film was tighter, a lot tighter. Do you feel Everything Everywhere All at Once deserves an R? It was R? I think it was, wasn't it? No, I don't. It's probably language. I got to go back and look. It's probably F-bombs. Remember, you get one F-bomb, and then you go to 2 and you're R. So it's probably F-bombs is what I would assume. Also, by the way, thank you for bringing it up, Aaliyah. This film is now at $41.5 million. It's over 40 million. That gives great hope to these indie films going forward. I know it's the outlier. I get that. Every indie film is not slated, but X performed very well. I still say X is better than EEAAO, but it didn't perform at this numbers, but it still was a solid performer. I think Men will do well too. It's coming back. I mean, we're back in 2019. We're back. I say that so many times. I'm saying it again tonight. We are back in 2019. Cameo expectations were too high, no question, and it didn't happen. Well, they didn't happen. Virtually any of them. Is Everything Everywhere very graphically violent and gory? I don't remember. I honestly haven't seen that film in weeks. I remember I'm not a huge fan of that film. I love the first 45 hour and then really that back end, that extra hour and 20. Just too much. It's just the Daniels went off and just went so hard on repeat idea over and over, and it just gets old. I wish that the film had not drilled down so many times on a lot of the things, and you got to watch it. When you see it, hopefully you'll see these things. A few more here before we wrap, because I am exhausted today. By the way, I'm going to show you. Oh, I didn't know if I was going to do this, but I'm going to show you. So today I play beach volleyball. If I haven't told you guys that, I'm telling you now. So today I'm playing, and I don't know if you guys can see this. If you can see this knuckle right here. So, okay, listen, I'm telling you something, and it's going to get gruesome in a second. This pinky was at a right angle today. Okay, literally like this. Imagine the top on the side. In the middle of the volleyball game, took a ball straight in the hand. I mean, super hard spike. And I look down and I go, wait a second, the top of that should not be at a right angle. Okay, this is where it gets gruesome. I literally grabbed and pulled it back into. There you go. So it's super. Look at the difference. First of all, I have, my fingers are pretty skinny. I'm not giving you the finger, by the way, guys. This one is so much bigger because I'm not even kidding you. It was sideways. It was at a 45, literally, it should say 90-degree angle, and I went, and I yanked it back on. Okay, that's it. I'm sorry, guys, if I may. Literally unbelievable today. I can't believe I did that. Doctor Strange 2 is one of my favorite superhero movies. Seen it twice now. Pure Sam Raimi in the best way. Love the insanity of the last act. Ballsiest MCU movie. Loved it. Gavin, awesome. I loved you loved it. Again, I agree with a lot of what the Sam Raimi, they let him do a lot of things. I just don't think they didn't go full wattage Raimi, but then again, we probably would end up in R if we did. But I understand. A lot of you liked it. I'm just mixed on it. I'm very mixed to mid. Is that what they just say now? It's like it's a mid movie for me. Isn't that what people say? It's just mid. I thought there's more comedy than horror in DS2. I found myself laughing more than being scared, honestly. Yeah, there's, that's what he works in. You go back to, I remember watching Evil Dead and just the slapstick stuff that you see Campbell do in this thing, right? When he goes, hey, I'm Pizza Pete? Pizza Pete? Oh, I should know that. You just you go, yeah, that's Raimi. That's the slapstick stuff. Everything Everywhere, rated R for some violence, sexual material, and language. Violence is listed first. I'm trying to remember the violence. There's the there's the fights and gunplay and stuff. But again, if anything, when you watch EEAAO, I think it's going to be, again, the grounded in reality, even though it's a multiverse, versus a comic book character. I know that sounds, you guys understand what I'm saying. It's a character in real life, even though it's the multiverse, versus a comic book superhero. That's the line. That's the difference. That's the lens. That is just, even if it's the same thing, even if the kills are the same, if it is a superhero doing it, it's not the same. Although there was that really cool superhero film that was super dark. Obviously, it's not MCU, DCU. The one about the kid who was like from another planet and he was evil. God, someone help me with that film. That film is badass. I love how dark that. You talk about a dark, quote, superhero film. It wasn't a huge hit out a few years ago. This kid is super evil and he crashes into planet Earth and complete mayhem. Super crazy. You guys need to tell me what that film is. I totally forget. It has one name and it wasn't a huge hit, but it was super edgy. I really loved it. I should place ice on it. That's what I'm going to do. As soon as the stream's over, I'm going to put ice on the dislocated finger. That was more gruesome than Doctor Strange. It might, if you saw it today, you would definitely say this is more gruesome. I mean, literally, the guys I'm playing with are like, what is that? What do you, I'm like, sorry, dude. My finger's literally at a 45-degree angle. Okay, Brightburn is it. Thank you, superhero movies. That hurt. I cannot pound the desk with a broken finger. Brightburn is it. Brightburn rules. Go watch that film. I love how dark the ending of that film. Are you kidding me? That's my kind of cinema. You talk about a crap cinema score. I guarantee that got one because it finishes with a super down ending. And I love that. I love when filmmakers go there because audiences hate it. They hate when a film goes super down, right? Even the end of Doctor Strange 2, the eye pops up. That's down. It's a downer ending, right? It's not an uplifting like, hey, everyone waltzes off. And Brightburn, holy hell, man, that ending's badass. I might go watch that film again. Thank you. Everyone's on this. Brightburn. Thank you. Brightburn. Should have been a bigger film. If you guys haven't seen that, go watch Brightburn. But I'm probably going to watch Brightburn again. Not tonight, but this week. That's how much I like it. By the way, I'm seeing Top Gun Maverick on Tuesday. Next time I talk to you on Tuesday night, we will do the discussion about Maverick. I am excited about that film. I've heard great things about it. Top Gun Maverick is right in my wheelhouse. I saw the first one when I was a kid. This is going to be right there for me. Tom Cruise never disappoints. The man gives his all every time he's in front of the camera. That guy is going full on. See him strapped to the side of the plane in Mission Impossible. What was that for? Literally strapped to the side of the cargo plane as it flies. Not a stunt. He is on the plane as it's flying. That guy's nuts. He does his own stunts so many times. Broke his ankle in that film too. I think the same one, right? He jumped the building and broke his ankle. And you watch it in the movie, he misses. You can tell he misses it. And he's like, oh, there it goes. There's the broken ankle. Deadpool films rated R with the comic lens. Yes, but the violence is way more intense in Deadpool. Okay, for sure, right? Super graphic violent and F-bombs times literally, what, 100? I mean, how many F-bombs are in a Deadpool movie? It's got to be over 100. And that's why. That's 100%. But the violence is way more intense in Deadpool, right? Way more graphic. You know, it's an awesome comic book movie. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch Dredd. If you have not seen Dredd, the 2012 film, again, I saw it in 3D. We talked about 3D earlier. That is a film that I wish all of you could go back and watch in 3D if you have never seen it. That was one of those experiences that I never will forget. There's so many that I have, and I think another one, these are all 3D, was Great Gatsby, and the third of those three was Prometheus. All three of those 3D films were so stunning because they were shot in 3D, not added in post. They were literally shot, and the 3D was just literally there, right? It was literally not this crap Solo stuff or even Doctor Strange 2 where it's added in post. It is legit in the film, and when you watch Dredd, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's hypodermic needles flying around, and the violence is insane. Very similar to The Raid, but they both are great. I love Dredd and I love The Raid and The Raid Redemption. The Raid 2 is probably my favorite all-time action film ever. It is truly one of the best. It is the best action film ever made. If you've never watched the Raid series, you have to watch it. You talk about violent. Holy crap. That is a violent ass film. But you know what? It works. That's the story. That's the world it is in. It's very close to an X. Literally. I have no problem with that being almost an X or NC-17. I heard you say Avengers Endgame is your favorite comic book film. Yes. Oh, top three, very easy. Certainly number 2 would probably be Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I love what James Gunn did to that film and the use of music and just direction of what he did. I think if you look at, people always say, what is the number one CBM that was really all about directorial imprint? In other words, the director was everything to the film. It is Guardians. And then it would probably be the Batman's way up there. I think that those two are two that pop out for me. But I mean, Guardians 1 is really, truly stellar. And at the end of the day, it's always going to go back to Iron Man for me because it started everything. That we saw Robert Downey Jr. in this role. And I knew then that we were in for something spectacular and something special over the next however long, it was obviously over a decade. But after seeing that film way back in, what was that, 2009? I saw that film and there was some expectations and everyone's like, I don't know about Robert Downey Jr. because at that time, remember, he had just been arrested. Robert Downey Jr. was literally in the cell, and then he got out, and the studios were like, I don't know if we can ever put him in a movie. And then he gets Iron Man, and they took a chance. Paramount did. Can you imagine Paramount? I can't even imagine the executive at Paramount now today going, we could have had Marvel, right? You guys know the story. They had a chance to have Marvel, and they said, nah, I think we're going to let it go. And Disney scooped it up. Paramount could own Marvel. And as much as Paramount's kicked ass lately with all the films, including this year, Lost Cities was a huge hit for them. Scream was a big hit. Sonic 2, and now Top Gun Maverick. They just keep delivering really strong films that really work. I think even Clifford. You guys laugh when I tell you that Clifford is a very good film. Clifford is a very funny film and a smart film. I really loved Clifford for what it was. And that sounds kind of crazy. I would rather watch Clifford 10 times than Sonic 2 another time. Clifford is so underrated. And absolutely, you need to watch that film too. Dredd 3D. Oh my God. You saw it in 3D? It's absolutely. I wish we had a time machine. Literally, we could go back through the multiverse and everyone could sit down and we could I would buy an entire if we could do that, I would literally pay for the entire theater because that is, and invite everybody, come watch Dredd 3D. It would be something. I mean, now I don't even know the cameras that if they have, because remember, they were putting those in theaters. 3D cameras were being installed in theaters at the time because that's how big that 3D surge was from 10, 11, 12, 13. That frame there was all about 3D. So they were putting these things in because people were coming to see them. Dredd was not a huge hit. Dredd opened with like 8 million. I mean, it's so sad to see that film. It's truly a cult classic, especially in 3D. I'm so glad you had a chance to see that because it is really something special. That film will always be one of the films I never forget, right? I mean, literally, it is just into my mind forever. So many times we see films and you forget them the second they're over. Dread's not one. Prometheus isn't. Again, not just because of 3D. I think they're very good films otherwise. But when you get those experiences of films that you're never going to forget, that's why we do this. It's why, because you go out and say, my God, this is one of those experiences like The Raid. I remember sitting through The Raid in Boston, and one of my good friends, Ken, was sitting like two away from me, and it was a press screening, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Boston Common, and we were screaming out of our seats, screaming at the screen because the film is so much energy and so much testosterone and so much violence and mayhem, and we were just out of our seats. And I go, I've never seen a critic group ever do that. There were like 20 of us in the theater, and those are the moments I'll never forget because you'll never have them again. And that's the magic of film. That's why we're here tonight talking about it. It's why I love this, is because those moments, unfortunately, we don't get them all the time. But when we do, cherish those moments because they're not all the time. We don't get it. The cinema score for Brightburn was a C plus. That's actually very high considering how down that film is. My God, the ending of Brightburn is so dark. I mean, like pitch dark, 3 a.m. shit. And this is a C plus. I can't believe it wasn't lower, but I love Brightburn. Really cool little film. Awesome. If you have not seen Brightburn, again, that's the recommendation. The Raid 2, Prometheus. Obviously, I said Dread, but I wish you'd seen 3D. But all these are great films, like really cool individual cult classic kind of things. I mean, Brightburn's not quite at that level, but it's still the way that film goes for what it does and really does things that you go, my God, this is dark. I can't believe it. I think it's Orion. I want to say Orion did that. They also did another one with a little kid. I remember these films. They're so small. It was like 2 years ago. The kid is evil. It's just like The Omen. Only the kid in the film is so damn good at being evil. You really believe this kid's possessed. It was another Orion film along with Brightburn. And Orion was coming back and they were trying to get things going. And they had Brightburn and they had this film with the evil kid, whatever the hell that was. Someone help me with that. That is a super cool film too. The something or one word, it's something. But Orion, and then I don't know what's happened to Orion. I believe Orion was also Gretel and Hansel. Gretel and Hansel is a hell of a film, and the reason that's a good film is because of the cinematography and production design. Gretel and Hansel is a super undervalued, underrated horror film. I know there are fans out there, but when I saw that film, I had no expectations, and I was blown away by the cinematography in that film. I think it's one of the best cinematography films that I have seen in the past 5 years, maybe 10. That's how strong the cinematography is in Gretel and Hansel. No joke. That is not a joke. That is 100% true. Top 3 A24 films. I feel like we should do this like a whole show. We will do a whole show of that. We'll do a whole one of these midnight movie talks about A24 films. I've got a lot. I can tell you right now, my number one all time, it's very close, it's very easy, but we can go into detail. You see two of them behind me. One is over here, it's Ghost Story, and the other one is Good Time. I moved Good Time down. Both of those came out the same year, 2017. I love both for obviously very different reasons, but we had to move Good Time down as much as I love the film. I had to push Wonder Woman 84 up. The worst comic book movie of all time got an award screener. Warner Brothers thought that Wonder Woman 84 was an awards film. That is one of the funny. That's hilarious. It's so bad. Wonder Woman 84. It's past midnight. We can go. And the magic dildo. Are you kidding me? That is like, what are we doing here? That movie's horrible. What a bad film. Wonder Woman 84, especially after Wonder Woman, is the difference between those two films is like, oh my God, who okayed this script? That is the worst script that was ever greenlit. The script for Wonder Woman 84 is the single worst script that was ever greenlit by a studio. I can't even imagine saying, let's make this film when I watched that film. But now I'm going to leave it right there. That is like prime material right there. That's prime real estate. Right there, Wonder Woman 84, next to Joker, Lamp. I love almost every film you see around me. I'm a big fan of. I'm going to move a few around because there's a few up top and below that I like to squeeze in. But these are films that I really love going back, and I've even like Social Network. I mean, good God, Social Network is literally, I think it's clearly the best film of the past decade. But I would put it in the top 20 films of all time. That's how strong Social Network is. I know it's kind of a boring screener, but I had to get. Oh my god, it's so good. Pirates 5. We'll do a whole A24 like thing because we could go on for hours about that. I go back to A24 very beginning. I mean, even before Spring Breakers, I remember going, this is a cool brand. They know what they're doing. They've got their hand on something very interesting. They got just their where their heads were just so far ahead of a lot of studios. And thank God for A24. Pirates 5 is the best 3D ever. I didn't see it. Was it post converted? Okay. That's exactly right. Post converted versus, boom, shot in. Gravity, post converted. Pacific Rim 3D. That is another one. Again, it doesn't stand out to me nearly as much as the ones I mentioned. Dread, Great Gatsby, in 3D, and then also obviously Prometheus. By the way, Prometheus. Anyone who says that Prometheus is less than what the hell was the last one? Alien, whatever the last one was. There's no chance. Prometheus is so much better than the last Aliens film. I'm drawing a blank as to what that one was called. That is not a good film. Prometheus is light years better. In fact, I can't believe people actually have that debate. It's crazy to me. Will Doctor Strange 2, Jack, thanks for joining tonight, will it hit 1 billion? That's the question. At 450 million with word of mouth, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it's going to go under. I say 900 and let's go 920 on it, but I might even go lower. But right now tonight, by the way, I want to say something, and listen, it's pat on the back time. I told you it would be right around 200, but after I saw the film, I had it 222, then I said 200, and then I said less than 200. So when I saw Doctor Strange 2 last Monday, I took my projection from 222 to 200 and then under. So 185. So there you go. Movie lover. Hey, thanks for joining tonight. Eric, do you think Doctor Strange 2 can beat the Batman in domestic? Yes, absolutely. The Batman worldwide right now is at 750 million. Let me pull that up right now. Let's go. Let me pull it up and share the tab. The Batman, I believe, is at 750 something. Let's get the exact number right now. And I think the thing about the Batman is we really thought that it would do just a little bit better. I thought it would actually hit closer to 1 million, but it did not do so. And I think that was the thing for me is search for. Here we go. Let's pop it up. All right, the Batman. Let's get to the total number right here. So the Batman right now stands at 764.5 million, and that's about over. So 764. I think we're above that, but we are below where we are. We're below 1 billion. I think we're at 900, 920. Again, MCU films are always going to be bigger, but I still think the Batman, hear me out, I still think the Batman should have been closer to 1 billion. The worldwide number is 764. I even want to see that at 850, even at 9, obviously. At 1 billion, clearly. But we are 250 million under 1 billion, roughly. I still think it underperformed. I do, and much as I love the film, I feel like it should be closer to 1 billion than the number it is. 764 is great. Warner Brothers will take it. They'll have a sequel. We know that. But I want to see it number closer. So yes, can Doctor Strange beat domestic? What's the domestic number here? Domestic is 369. We're already at 185. So if it does even a 2 multiple, it's going to be right about the same. I think the multiple will be 2.5. So that'll put us at 400 and let's say 425. Okay, I'm going hard into the numbers. Maybe we'll pull out there, but you guys know what I'm saying. So I think it's a little bit under that, or over the Batman, and then under 1 billion. I think that's where we are with Doctor Strange 2, based on word of mouth, based on what I'm seeing already with the drop from Friday to Saturday. Next weekend will be 65% drop. That's my number right now. Put it in on Sunday night, 65%. Forever Experience. I assume you're talking about. Back to you. I know we're jumping around here. I believe you're talking about Dread, and if you are, there's no question. Forever Experience. Just like The Raid is for me, like seeing Endgame with my son. That was, oh my God. Endgame, we got to see it on Tuesday night. It opened on Thursday, so we saw it 2 days before, and we knew what happened to Tony. And to see it with my son was just literally, I'll never forget it. Ever. I mean, it was on the Disney lot. It's just one of those experiences in life. It's just forever ingrained into my soul. Eric, WW84, Green Lantern. Oh, 84 for sure. First of all, I love Ryan Reynolds. Okay, I'll be very honest about that. Man crush. Just seems like such a cool dude, and I love the fact he owns a soccer team. He owns Wrexham AFC. He bought it, a Wales football team. I believe they play in the National League, which is you got Premier League, then you got Championship, then you got League One, League Two, and then you got National. That's how far down they are, and he wants to move them up the divisions, right? So he bought this team. I love the fact that he does. So I'm always going to pick. I got to be honest. I'm biased. I will always pick a Ryan Reynolds film over, certainly over Wonder Woman 84. Are you kidding me? So terrible. I will never get rid of that. That is such a collector's item. The WW84 FYC screener. That's the best joke ever. All right, Batman sequel will make $1 billion. I think so, Trey. A couple things have to happen, right? And we all got to admit this. Let's be open. Let's be honest. It's got to go. It's got to go at 2 hours and 10. It can't be 3 hours again. Just can't be 3 hours. 3 hours is too long. That's another reason that film underperformed. And this is exactly why, Leah, right to you. The Batman underperformed worldwide because of that 3 hour runtime. Also, don't forget, yes, I will concede, always will concede. China and Russia are out. They were out for the Batman. That's a lot of cash. It's at least 100 million. Okay, it's probably more. But let's just say 100 million. So 100 million removed. And so then it would be at 850. But I think the runtime hurt it. No question. That was number one thing, the runtime. I think, and the fact that it was not kid-friendly. Because it wasn't. It was a serial killer film. It was Seven. It was Silence of the Lambs. It was dark drama, and that's not for kids. Listen, Doctor Strange 2, as much as you want to say that it's R-rated, it is not, and it's much more family-friendly than the Batman. Anyone who says otherwise does not know what they're talking about. Because again, the Batman's grounded in reality. It's grounded as a serial killer film. It's way more intense than Doctor Strange 2. I'm not saying Doctor Strange 2 isn't intense. It is. It's way more intense than Thor. But at the same time, we've seen characters get killed. I mean, go back to Guardians. Here's a story. I took my son to see Guardians we were living in South Carolina at the time. And we sat down. It was at a dollar theater. So I took him to see. I didn't know how he'd react. He was little. And the scene, right? And boom, right in the head with the axe. And that was like, we're out. That was it for him. That's a violent ass scene. So what are we talking like? There hasn't been violence in comic book movies before? Go back to Guardians, for God's sake. It's a super violent scene. That's just one example. And we left. And I imagine some parents left this weekend for Doctor Strange 2. Yeah. So what? But I'll tell you what, it's still way more family-friendly than the Batman. No question. Movie lover, back to you. I think action part is the reason for the underperformance in overseas. The fact that it's lacking action. If you're talking about the Batman, yeah, I think that it is much more of a mood piece, and that's why I love it, and that's why probably a lot of you love it. It's much more cinephilic than the typical MCU film. And that's why when you look at Warner Brothers, and we talked about, do I like DCEU or MCU? If I had to pick one, I'd pick DCEU because I like what they allow their directors to do. It's that simple. Not saying I don't like MCU films. I don't have a dog in the fight. Everyone who's like, I love this or this. How about you just be neutral and love both? Like, why does it have to be one against the other? I don't understand that to me. I think in life, it's best to be less tribal. Says the guy right here who has literally, I just told you, 30, maybe 40, maybe 50 soccer kits / jerseys in my closet from different teams because I'm not tribal. I like different teams and I like different jerseys. Be like that with DCU and MCU. Just enjoy the films. It doesn't have to be one's better than the other. It's like every time I make a list and say, like, I made my list of the top 10 MCU DCUs, and then you have like DCU is number one. Like, whoa, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I just like them as a film. I don't like them because I'm tribal for Marvel or for DC. That's not how I think. It's why, hopefully, my movie opinion is resonating with some people is because I am not tribal. I do not have a dog in the fight. I try to remain unbiased when I watch these films. I just want to see a good film at the end of the day. Don't we all? Super controversial opinion will get me banned. Oh, this might get you banned. You're going to love W84. Love how purposely cheesy. Okay, heresy. I'm going to say heresy. And I like the fact that you're not lying here, but I'm going to bring it home with one thing. How do you make a film set in 1984, one of the best years for music in the history of music? You go back and look at the hits from 1984. I could pull up a list of the top 100 songs in 1984. You would likely, no matter how old you are, young or old, you would know a shit ton of them. You'd heard them. How do you make a film in 1984 and only have one 80s song in it, and it's playing in the background of the bar scene, and it's Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and it wasn't even a big hit. It wasn't even Relax. It was Welcome to the Terror Dome, if I'm not mistaken. How do you do that as a director? Literally, the scene in the mall. How do you not, and go back to Captain Marvel, right? I'm just a girl. Do that. How do you not do that, Patty? Like, I can't get my head around the fact that you make a movie in 1984 and you don't have it swimming in 1984 songs. And one other thing I want to add to that, Warner Brothers owns the catalog to virtually almost every 80s 1984 song ever. They own Warner Brothers Records was the biggest record company in the universe back then. They had so many brands, Elektra, Atlantic, all these were under their umbrella. So they have the rights. And Patty's like, we're going to put one song on that wasn't even a huge hit, certainly not in the United States, and we'll put it in the background of the club scene. Perfect. That's exactly how I want my 1984 movie. I can't. So you can't argue that. So think about that for a second. That's one major problem that was frankly an unforgivable sin. You can't do that and expect me to say your film's good. There's no way. Jack, let's see. What's your favorite Marvel movie outside the MCU? That's a good one. I have to think. Let me ruminate on that, and I'll come back to it. I mean, when you think about, here's the thing I will say. I don't hate Fantastic Four from so many years ago. Let me go back to that. I don't hate it. Okay. I think Josh Trank and Chronicle. Did you guys watch Chronicle? Chronicle is a hell of a film. For a film you watch that film and you watch Josh Trank and what he did with it, and then you see what happened with Fantastic Four, which was, I believe, taken out of his hands, right? And I heard lots of things that happened on the set that he wasn't, as professional as he should have been. But I don't hate Fantastic Four nearly as much as over. So I say that's a film I don't absolutely loathe like a lot of people. I don't think it's fantastic, but I also don't think it's as bad as people say it is. Versus WW84, no, 100% bad. I can't even get off that at all because it just hurts. So that is a terrible opinion. No, you're allowed to have it. Everyone is. Batman being PG-13, while Blade Runner R for no reason. Wish WB fought for the PG-13 rating. Don't forget this. The director, Denis, might have actually wanted it to be R because Blade Runner was R. If you go back and watch Blade Runner from 82, I want to make sure that's right, 82, Harrison Ford, obviously you guys, Ridley Scott, that is an R-rated film. And it really, at the time, if you watch it, it's not really that violent. But again, it's the dark drama, and there are some people that, I guess there is the eyes that get, okay, so they'll violent. But my point is that this film, Blade Runner 2049, could have been designed to be R, because even though a lot of studios want that thing to be PG-13, remember, Warner Brothers lets its directors do what they want. So if they really, especially Blade Runner, I feel like you can get away with R. It's not a family film at all, right? I mean, no kids are going to see Blade Runner. They don't want to sit through that. So having it R isn't a bad thing. But a comic book movie R is a bad thing unless it's Deadpool. So that's why the Batman was PG-13. They just can't take the chance. They could do it, but it would be a major that's it. My brain's gone. It would be a big problem. Let's just say that. All right, we're going to wrap here in 1 second. A couple more and then we're done. I love the MCU and DC. The greatest cinematic experience I've ever had are from MCU, though. Greatest DC experience is Aquaman 1 and Batman was such a craft on display. That's the film's all about craft. I mean, Batman is craft, and it is Greg Fraser, and it is, obviously, as we know, who I consider to be one of the best directors working today, finally getting his due after so many years. Let me in, going back and watching that film, you just go, this guy is a badass. Matt Reeves. Anish Raj, slight update. Warner Brothers no longer owns Warner Brothers Music Group. Oh, okay. All right. But still, okay. So they sold it. But here's the thing. You still can't tell me that they don't have the cash to go back in and get the rights, right? It costs money to put the movie in. Get a few songs, get 3 or 4. I mean, Warner Brothers has the money to spring for that. I mean, anytime you play a song, you got to pay the royalties. Fine, pay it. Do it. Whatever it takes. Just make it happen. All right, we're going to wrap in 1 second. Isha Raj, I said it right? Yes. Good. Okay. Cool. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Listen, we're going to wrap tonight. Thank you for joining me. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Really appreciate it here on this Sunday. I'm off to bed. I will see you on Tuesday night for Midnight Movie Talk. We discuss Top Gun Maverick. There is a embargo, but we're going to skirt around it. I'll give you my thoughts on the movie. Tuesday night, I'll see you at midnight Eastern right here on Midnight Movie Talk. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'll see you on Tuesday.